Hello and welcome back to Water Player Concussion Sub Series. We are going to preview the fifth test, which is called Pink Test in Sydney. First of all, Happy New Year to everyone. We have a new guest from a fellow podcast called Wrongun, which is Shane Won's Wrongun. We will get the intro with Dinesh Sagi as well. Sanjay, firstly, how was New Year's in UK? What did you do? How did you celebrate?
New Year's comes in at a really cold time of the winter, so just like oldies, went to bed at like 9 o'clock, then woke up by the fireworks happening, watched a bit of fireworks, then went back to sleep. In the morning, caught up on all the firework videos across the world. But apart from that, really nice and quiet New Year's, which is how I like it. I don't want the stress of going out anywhere. Just chilling at home, doing nothing is the perfect way to do it.
That's awesome. And Sagi, welcome to our pod. Really thrilled to have you. So, if you could spend a minute about you and also about your podcast so that our viewers know where you're coming from and probably, they'll also subscribe to you. So, talk to us who you are and what you do.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm Dinesh Shaki. I live in the States myself, but I'm another cricket enthusiast, just like the guys on the podcast right now. So obviously, that kind of pushed me to start podcast myself along with a couple of my mates who live in the UK. We're called Wronguns. I used to run a team called Wronguns back in the day when we used to play in the Last Man Stands League. So that's how the name kind of evolved. But yeah, just keen on talking cricket and obviously anything to do with the sport. I'm always up for it. So yeah, that's the background. And happy
Excellent.
New Year to all the viewers as well.
Yeah, that's great. And where can people find you guys? What socials are you guys are on?
We're on X, Insta, YouTube so far. But yeah, that's pretty much where we are right now. We're pretty new, still finding our feet.
Excellent. And they simply search wrong, WRONG and UN.
Yes, just do wrong UN, and you can find us. Yes.
Wrong
Is there
United Nations.
connection with Virat Kohli's brand or something?
Oh, is it? Does he have? I know
Is
there's
he,
something wrong, something, but I don't know if it's like
he's
that.
got a wrong?
Mine is more to what's Mandiford. It's to do with bowling the wrong one. So that's how yeah, the name was.
Yeah, be pretty freaky if you had the spelling of wrong as well, like the wrong way around how Virat Kohli has. But anyways, good luck.
No, no, I don't think so. But yeah, now that you mentioned, I need to double check. But
Excellent.
yeah, I doubt it.
Welcome to the pod, Sagi. Really thrilled to
Thank you.
have
Yeah,
you. Cool.
likewise.
So New Year's test. We had a fantastic Melbourne Cricket Ground Boxing Day test. I think it went down to the last hour. It sucks that India's result was not what expected, but what a test match. Let's start with Sanjay Dubey. Is is that what you expected out of the Boxing Day? 5 days, record
Uh,
crowd.
One is excellent crowd. Again, as we discussed on the first days, a big tick box exercise for people who haven't done it. I haven't done it, so hopefully in the next time India's around there, I can try and go there. But yeah, fabulous test match. Great advert for the game, but really sucks that India couldn't get a draw out of it after what Nitish Kumar Reddy had done, and after how Australia kept dragging their feet and not declaring. If this was yesteryear's Australia, I'm 100% sure they would have given India 320 or something. They would have probably ended up in bowling a couple of overs or a few overs on day four. So, a bit surprised with that. I think they also accounted for the fact that this is a really slow, low sort of pitch, not much in it for the bowlers. So, really disappointing from an India perspective. At best, they can retain the BGT now, which looks extremely difficult given the form they've shown the last three tests.
Awesome. And Sagi, you and I were exchanging yesterday. Instead of saying Happy New Year, you were telling me that how gutted you are with the result. How are you feeling now, and what did you make out of the test match overall?
I mean, I sort of echo Sanjay's analysis, right? I'll be honest, I'm still disappointed. We spoke about this, on my podcast the day before, right? In terms of how India should approach day five, 330 runs, take a session at a time, see if that's a target, they can actually chase. If not, obviously, take the safer route of obviously, drawing the test. Really disappointed with the way things, turned out towards the end. Yeah, I'm gutted. We were like 2-1 down now at this point.
Okay. So that's Melbourne Cricket Ground. Fantastic crowd. Facilities were great. Players, I think, enjoyed too. Pat Cummins, what a leader. He was telling in the press conference, I think this is the best ever test match he's participated ever on, which is awesome. Before we go to the fifth test and expected, predicted 11s, etc., Pat Cummins, deserved player of the match, Sagi. I mean, what a player. Captaincy, bowling, batting, field changes, his stamina. I think last day, if I'm not wrong, he bowled on the trot some 16 over spell is how his fitness was. So word on Pat Cummins, Sagi?
No, absolutely right. Captain fantastic for a reason. I think since he took over, after everything that happened with the team pain and obviously, prior to that, I think since Pat kind of stepped into that role, he kind of owned the team. And I've seen a lot of uh, details as well in terms of how he runs the team and how he allows players to come up with their own inputs. But yeah, if it wasn't for his particular spell, obviously for those who followed the live game right on day 5, the first hour, I think Rohit and Jaiswal sort of found a pattern in terms of playing through the innings. But for someone like Cummins to just step in and say, look, I'm going to bowl now. He bowled like probably a 6 hour spell on the trot, and obviously to manage two big fishes like Rohit and Rahul, that kind of changed the game. Obviously, so kudos to him. He's been excellent throughout.
I think Suma, you guys need to drop him. Don't pick him in IPL as well. SRS, what you guys are doing? We don't need him to earn money from IPL as well. He's such an annoying captain. Does well against India. He's won everything. So probably end up going to WTC final next year and win that as well. But apart from Pat Cummins, I'm sick of Travis Head as well. When he's not doing with the bat, he's doing with the ball as well and cleaning the toilet and whatnot. That's what my daughter does when it's like, oh, put your hand in, thanks for cleaning my toilet. That's what he's done with the Indian batting order as well. It's just unreal. Like I was fine for a couple of days. Now that you reminded me of the test match, the way Pant got out, the way Kohli has been terrible, and all the stuff that happened around it, it's really disappointing. And this would be the point we reflect back, saying, okay, we could have easily taken a draw out of this test match, because Sydney, for all you know, might end up being a drawn test match with inclement weather around. But yeah, it is really disappointing. But full credit to Australia.
Yep. And fun fact is Travis Head in Melbourne Test, Boxing Day Test, scored 1 run and took 1 wicket out of all 5 days. What a contribution. But yeah, Captain Cummins, man, full respect for him. Needless to say that he plays for Sunrisers, but I will never forget his COVID contributions during that tough year. He was the first cricketer, if I'm not wrong, came out in the open and supported for the Cylinders in India. And from that day on, I've been a fan of his. I mean, he's a fantastic human more than a cricketer. That's how I see. Switching to fifth test. First things first, India 11. So we have big questions. I think Rohit press conference after the MCG test was much anticipated, but he gave nothing away outside of giving a proper press conference. And Virat Kohli, I think will continue. So Sagi, do you expect any changes in the playing 11? If so, which ones and why?
I mean, if it was for me, if everything that we're hearing about Rohit being the selfless player, if that's to do with anything to go with, I'll drop myself. If I'm Rohit Sharma, I'll definitely drop myself on the fifth test and allow Gill to take the number 3 spot. KL and Jaiswal to open and Gill at number 3. And also, I would see another change, or I personally would like to see another change in the bowling. Siraj and Akashdeep, they've had tough 4 tests so far. Unfortunately for Akashdeep, he hasn't been lucky enough to pick a couple of wickets. And Siraj, he finally kind of seen the Siraj we used to. But for me personally, I think his workload is a bit too much. So I would like to see one change there, bring in Harshit Rana in place of one of those. But those are the 2 changes I'm kind of thinking for the fifth test.
So who's coming in place of Rohit if you're dropping Rohit?
Gill should walk in at number 3. Yes.
Okay, Gill for Rohit, Harshit Rana for
either Akashdeep or Siraj. Preferably, I think Siraj should sit back.
So 2 changes.
Yes.
Got it. And then, which means Rohit will play on the top. Sorry, Rahul will play open.
Yeah, KL should go back. Like personally, they shouldn't have tampered that lineup in the fourth test either. He's done exceptionally well top of the order. He should have continued. Rohit could have batted at number 3, but for some reason he thought he could probably play the new ball better. Unfortunately, we've seen that it hasn't really worked out for him.
Okay, so 2 changes. Got it. Sanjay Dubey, same question to you. Playing 11 for Sydney Test for India.
I mean, we know that Rohit, unless someone is injuring him, probably be Gautam Gambhir, snapping his finger or something. That's not going to happen. So I personally would want one proper bowler in between dropping either Nitish Reddy or Washington Sundar or Jadeja, because I don't think we need 3 all-rounders. None of them at this rate can come in as a proper bowler. Washington Sundar, yes, maybe, if it's a turning track. The amount of time Rohit has used him so sparsely, it just tells you that none of these bowlers are going to make any impact with the ball. We are effectively playing with 1.5 bowler. The half bowler is Akash Deep every now and then. Siraj has had a terrible last couple of games. He did reasonably well in the last innings, in the second innings of the Melbourne Test. But even then, I mean, if we had a half decent bowler, he could have picked up the last couple of wickets. For all you know, we might have won this game. But I don't know how they're going to do it. They might end up playing the same 11. If not, Siraj gets dropped for Harshit Rana. But any which ways you look at it, it's going to be a big struggle, because the more and more pressure you're putting on Bumrah, and the fact that it was so telling when he said there और अभी और push हो नहीं रहा, मतलब कितना मेरा जान लोगे, बैटिंग भी मैं करूं, बॉलिंग भी मैं करूं, सब मैं ही आके करूं, तो तुम लोग क्या अच्छा ना निकले कर रहे हो. So it's really a frustrating aspect of the game. We seem to be getting more and more all-rounders, but the bowling is where I think we are missing the firepower. Bumrah cannot. If Bumrah has one off game, we will have an easy few hundred run defeat or an innings defeat, and that's almost certainly round the corner, because Bumrah cannot just continue with this. So yeah, I don't know how they do it. Either they play the same team, or go wholesale, drop everyone, get Sarfaraz in as well. I don't care at this point. Get whoever you want now.
Yeah, just on the note, right? As much as we would want to see a fresh side, we also have to remember back of our mind, right? We still have the BGT in play, right? Obviously, if we can draw, we can retain that, and also the WTC is in play as well. If you can win or even draw 2-2, and hopefully, Sri Lanka upsets Australia somehow. The given, the big picture in terms of what's at stake, I'd still, like to see like one experienced player. That's what I thought. Maybe Kohli is in better shape than Rohit. But yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards. But yeah, I agree with you. Bowlers, he should have used. You got 2 spinners in the lineup, and you haven't really used the resources, the way Australia did with 1 spinner. But Sydney, I think it's going to be a turning track, so we might definitely need 2 spinners. Is my gut feel.
Yes, Sanjay Dubey, too extreme, man. Nitish Reddy is not going anywhere, number 1. And number 2, Sydney.
I have to talk about that moment. We missed that day. I think that's the highlight of the series. Like, so many people have just teared up looking at those images. That's the lasting image from that Melbourne Test. I don't care. Yes, we've lost it, but just to have that drama and his dad around and whatnot, his celebration, absolutely heartwarming. I think he's going places, man. I'm so upset that SRH have got him, and that too for really cheap money as well. So great for him.
He's future captain of Sunrisers, and look, they say cricket heals all the problems. I think that Melbourne cricket match, outside of the result, had everything in it for a cricket lover. Coming back to Sydney Test, going back, Nitish Reddy is not going anywhere. Second, they're not going to drop Washi or Jadeja, because Sydney is known for spinning. The factor which both of you would want to know is it's going to rain at least 2 days of the 3. So the result looks unlikely. So Australia seems like a 2-1 winners, but we shall see. Now, according to me, again, from what I'm reading with everything that is happening, I think Rohit will continue to play. At least he's asked that he will continue to play. Virat's not getting dropped. Impossible. I don't think Virat's going to go, which means Gill has to come in. Now, if Gill has to come in, they have to make a call with Rishabh Pant. A lot of chatter on the internet is saying that they're going to give him a drop for the two reckless shots he has played, which in hindsight probably are the match defining moments both in the first and second innings. Sagi.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Second innings, in the first innings, I sort of thought, that's his natural game. Sometimes he tends to take his chances. But second innings, right? So one of the things, post tea, obviously, we lost 3 wickets before lunch, and between lunch and tea, you sort of built a partnership. You made sure, you haven't lost a wicket. At this point, India should already know you're not going to chase this target, right? It's going to be a draw. So his approach should have been just to play through the next 30 35 hours, whatever that is, to draw the test. But I don't know what changes tactics. The minute he saw Travis said, he thought this is an opportunity to take counter attack. But again, there's no way you're going to chase 240 in 30 overs. So your approach should have been play Travis said, just like you would have played other bowlers, singles, just try and play through the overs. So that's where I think he's been a bit reckless. But in terms of selection, I doubt Pant's going to get dropped. If anything, to your point, if they want to bring Gill in and keep the rest of the squad, they might have to lean towards having two bowlers and Nitish Reddy as a third bowler, and then probably drop either one of the third seamers if Gill has to play with the current squad.
Yeah. So irrespective, if any changes happen in the fifth test, this will be the fifth change in 5 test matches of the playing 11. So that goes to show there was no clarity on the squad which they picked. That goes to show there's no consistency of players getting a good run. But yeah, coming back, another topic which is floating around, and in New Year's Day, it's terrible looking at the social media. It's so much toxicity and negativity about Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma and the PR. So there's an article which Indian Express published this morning, earlier India time, saying that Gautam Gambhir had a meltdown with seniors after the MCG test and said enough is enough. People did not execute on the plans which were agreed. We spoke about something, but people went and played different games. That's one. Second, it also talks about a Mr. Fix-It captain outside of Rohit Sharma, which again is quite internal dressing room topic. Even if there is, like, we all are corporates, right? We all worked in a team. Somebody will raise a hand when there is crisis. So what is wrong with it? But I think the bigger problem here is, why is this internal dressing room chatter coming out? And secondly, people are talking about Rohit Sharma deliberately creating this because he has connections with certain journalists. So I'd be interested to hear both of your takes about what do you think about all the episode and the chaos which is happening in the dressing room. Sagi.
I mean, personally for me, social media, I don't want to read too much into it. Like you pointed out, there's a lot of negativity and there's a lot of rumors as well. Someone hears something or someone just decides to bring up a story. But yes, if that's true, then that's where I think someone like Gambhir should put his hand up and say he is this coach come manager come mentor for the team, and he should be able to obviously keep this within the dressing room if that's the case. If there's any challenge within the dressing room, then that's something Rohit obviously is a skipper. He'll have a lot of say in it. But also at the same time, we've seen this with the T20 World Cup, right? There's a lot of rumors going around when that took place in New York and obviously in West Indies, and how Dravid and Rohit kind of build that relation, and then obviously got over most of this. That should have ideally happened in this instance, but unfortunately that doesn't seem to be the case. But yeah, I personally wouldn't want to read too much into any of this. But as far as the team is concerned, there's definitely going to be some tough call that needs to be made sooner than later. I don't know if that's going to be the fifth test or the series after this, but yeah, that's something they'll have to look into.
I don't know what you're talking about. I absolutely love it. I'm all for all this masala. As much masala as you want. Get more stuff from the dressing room. This is what do you expect the coach to give them, like laddus and stuff after what they've done? They must have given proper dressing down, and that's what they deserve as well. Kisko fix it, whether that fix it is all probability Virat Kohli, because he looked like the captain who was captaining the team after they were 91 for something. So whatever it is, they deserve it. And whoever gets dropped after this test match, it doesn't really matter. If we do not make it to the WTC final, then I think 2 or 3 players' career is done at least after this test match. And the most likely candidate is Rohit Sharma. Whatever happens, he scores runs, he can go out gracefully. He doesn't score runs. It's better to just announce the retirement mid of the game somewhere, so that he doesn't have to deal with the embarrassment of getting dropped. So one way or the other, this is a deciding test match, and I'm all for it. Yeah, get more stories out, get full masala out. पूरा एक अच्छा इसके बाद एक प्राइम का टेस्ट बनाने के लिए all the masala you need, we all need that. इतना सारा जो reporters गए हैं, these Indian Express guys, they're doing a tremendous job. Everyone else sitting in Mumbai and Noida and doing all this reporting, what are you getting? This is the proper scoop you need. And you're right. I think it has to be either Gautam Gambhir or Rohit Sharma, because this only benefits Rohit Sharma from what I can see. But yeah, I mean, jokes are, once the game starts, people will start concentrating on what needs to be done. But I love all this stuff, Suman. I don't know where you're. I'm completely all for it.
Look, it's out there in the media, whether you like it or no, it is happening. And number two, from what I'm really interested in is Sam Consta's story. Hopefully, Australians are recording for the Prime Video next season of Test. If that is the case, I'm looking forward for that Boxing Day period of Sam and the Virat Kohli and the crowd and what they actually told Sam how to go about doing things with Bumrah. But we shall see. Shivam Gupta thinks we need 3 or 4 Bumrahs. Sagi, on a serious note, I think we are in a 1990s extreme. 1990s, we had our best batsman on the planet single-handedly.
Mm-hmm.
He scores 100, India wins. He scores 90, team score is 80. That wasn't batting. Now, in the past 5 to 7 years, we have seen Bumrah takes a fifer, India wins. Bumrah takes wickets, India is back in the game. And I think Glenn McGrath mentioned that for the Sydney cricket ground match, that if there was no Bumrah in the series for India, it would have been a one-sided series. So thoughts?
100%, right? This is something I was reading somewhere. Someone even mentioned this, like, especially the Boxing Day test. Some of the fans started, like, tagging it as a Bumrah test rather than Boxing Day in terms of, like, how well he delivered, over the course of the 5 days, right? But yeah, kudos to him, like, and we've seen this again, I keep going back to the T20 World Cup because I've seen live when I was there at the India-Pakistan game, how we were on the verge of losing. That one spell he comes back and gets a wicket off Rizwan and just turns the game on his head, and exactly what he's been doing in the series as well, right? Every time there is, like, a partnership building, the only person that Indian dressing room or even the fans or even the entire nation is looking at is bring Bumrah on. It doesn't matter the guy bowled 30 overs already or he's, like, ball 40 overs for the day. That's the only source and resort we seem to be, like, relying on. And unfortunately, this is where, even Rohit doesn't seem to have any ideas. Every time, there's a partnership building, rather than trying something proactive, his only source is, let's bring Bumrah in and hopefully he'll pick a wicket or two for us.
But he has no choice, though. I'll take his side. He has no choice. Akashdeep is not getting wickets. Siraj, I get it that second innings he bowled well.
Yeah.
Jadeja is the only option, but the wicket is not supporting. And Washi is not a wicket taker. What does he do? He only has Bumrah to go through.
Agree, right? But also at the same time, like, personally, like, I don't know how much, again, another piece I was picking up on the social media as well, right? In terms of, when Washi Sundar walked in at, like, number 9, he saw, at least from Australia's standpoint, their fielding and obviously the approach, they had probably like all 10 players around the batsman trying to, like, pick the tailenders. Whereas when you look at what India's managed to do, or like what Rohit's managed to do on the end of day 4, when they're already 9 down, all I've seen is, like, him. It's very defensive in the sense, like, he was just allowing them to take singles, but not necessarily have any boundaries. I'm like, it's a number 10 and number 11 at the crease. Do something proactive, and maybe that could have helped someone like Jadeja or, like, even a part-time bowler. Look what Head managed to do, like, create that doubt in Pant's mind. And he tried to, like, play a shot he wouldn't have played if it's, like, one of the frontline bowlers. That's where the skipper needs to, like, be proactive rather than, like, always relying on one bowler thinking, like, he's going to win the game for me. I mean, I don't want to be too critical about him, but at least this series, especially after winning the first one, where our morale is so high to kind of lose three in a row. Because let's not forget the Brisbane one, like the third one. If it wasn't for rain, I think we would have lost that too. So yeah. Since Rohit stepped in, it's just one-way traffic towards like going south.
Yep. Shivam Gupta is in top form. He's driving the chutkules quite a lot.
Oh my
Sanjay,
God. I think we've seen two extremes of Sunil Gavaskar. One is when Pant got out, and then the next day he's on Hindi commentary saying "Boland bowling kar rahe hain." It's just so embarrassing. Seriously, should be out of Hindi commentary completely. BGT full form, we all know. We've talked,
and
offline.
and when Jaiswal got out, he's telling on Star Sports, ये optical illusion देखिए आप, optical illusion. How is that an optical illusion? It's a
Exactly.
deflection.
That's a huge deflection. I mean, to be honest, if this was the foot was on the other shoe, then we would have all agreed that yes, this is completely out. But yeah, I mean, Bumrah, I'm disappointed with his batting. What's happened to his batting? All this wicket taking business is fine, but he's not helping India getting out for a duck in both innings. I'm expecting a lot of runs from him. So I'm disappointed with that. He's clearly not fit for number 11. He should be batting number 12, 13, something like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how much more Bumrah can do. Probably after this, he should get a break, not play IPL, don't play any of these stupid one days. Just be ready for the New Zealand England test matches because we don't need him for any of the other stuff that happens around in between.
Bilkul. And then one point, Sanjay, I'll pick on what Sagi mentioned about Rohit Sharma's captaincy proactive versus what Aussies did. Travis said absolutely right. But if you also heard Pat Cummins speak post match, I think somebody asked him about what were you doing with Jaiswal going around the wicket, going over the wicket? What were you thinking? He said, I had to keep trying because he was the key wicket for me. I had to go around the wicket. I got to go over the wicket. I had to bowl bouncers. And eventually I tried to slow over one and he got deflected. So I think that is proactiveness thinking and captaincy.
I think it's difficult to choose whether Rohit's batting is poor or his captaincy. It's been that diabolical. His captaincy's been absolute shit, to be honest. Lion comes in, he tries to give single to Lion and tries to give the bowl to Scott Boland. It's unbelievable how bad the captaincy was, to be honest, in this test match. I think it's progressively got worse. And I really hope that he goes on a high. He scores some nice runs. It'll probably benefit his captaincy as well. And he goes on a high because it's been a terrible series, especially after coming in 1-0 up. Literally, you have to, I don't know what to say about his batting, but his captaincy has not helped the cause as well.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. So I think we have a good chat going into the Sydney Test. So Sagi expects 2 changes. Sanjay Dubey expects what?
Five
4
changes.
changes?
Five. Full. I get Gautam Gambhir to bat as well. Come in. Come on.
Five changes. Anyway, quick predictions. So 2-1 so far, Sydney Test. Sagi, where do you think the series is ending?
I mean, if it's for the rain, it might still remain 2-1. If it wasn't for the rain, there's a potential. I think we might bounce back and draw this. So it's going to be
2-2 or 2-1. If it rains, 2-1. If it doesn't rain, India win.
India will win. Yeah.
2.5 days match, India loses. India bats first, 100 all out, to 300 they'll score. We'll finish it in 2 days. Nice big holiday for everyone. Have fun in Sydney, forget BGT and come back home. We'll play in England.
Sagi, he's our Sanjay Manjrekar, by the way. Sanjay Dubey, Sanjay Manjrekar. But Sanjay Manjrekar has been
I think it's good point, right? Obviously, it's been realistic in terms of what is seen over the last couple of months. But yeah, I just still believe that they're going to bounce back at some point. And again, that's where I think the weather is going to be critical for India.
Absolutely.
If nothing, we might have to speak to Jay Shaw and see what he can do.
Exactly. That's what Shivam Gupta is saying, that Jay Shah will suspend BGT if the result doesn't go our way.
Or no WTC for next year.
Excellent. On that note, listen, again, a fabulous happy 2025. Sagi, thanks for joining in. It's great to have your thoughts as well. Sanjay Dubey, as usual, let's continue doing this stuff late in the US time. All three of us are in US. So during the Sydney Test match, Shivam Gupta, thanks for engaging. Surya Sai, Mr. Fix It, unfortunately, is not Mohammad Siraj. Mia Bhai is the player of the series, according to me,
DSP,
because
some respect for
defense.
DSP, bro. Whatever happens, he should play. DSP has to.
Yes,
For
absolutely.
Nitish Kumar
Excellent.
Reddy's sake, he deserves
Yeah.
a spot.
Cool. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for watching. Catch Rongan on socials. We will post their link as well. Have a wonderful 2025 and we'll keep getting cricket for you. Thanks for watching and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again. Cheers. Bye.